I'm a functional nutritional therapist, and for years, I could not figure out why I was drowning. Making little money, not being able to scale, ending up with a burnout like so many practitioners. Clinical work is hard, but this is not what caused my frustration or burnout. I love clinical work. Most practitioners think they're slow because the work is complex, but the real problem is not complexity, it's repetition. You're doing the same clinical thinking, writing the same explanations to the client, building the same structure from scratch every single time because your approach is personalized and that requires looking at each case as a one-off. You can finish the case interpretation, connecting the dots in about 20 minutes. Then you spend 80 more minutes writing the analysis and the protocol, and that is eating your time. For the longest time, I thought that spending a lot of time on each client is a skill problem, but actually, this is a lack of systems problem. And when you don't have systems in place, you have a ceiling. I hit my ceiling, and if you haven't already, eventually you will too. Until I finally built something that changed that completely. I'm Ginka Kostova, a health practitioner by training and a systems architect by experience. After a successful career building high-pressure production pipelines in Hollywood visual effects, I now help health practitioners design practices that can scale without burnout, chaos, or compromising your clinical standards. This video is about why it takes so many hours to analyze functional labs, to write a health report and protocols, why it is so difficult to scale, the big epiphany of what was wrong with the way most practitioners work, and finally, how I save 10+ hours a week. Let's dive in. If you are working in functional medicine or you are a naturopathic practitioner, nutritionist, you're most likely using functional labs. And functional labs are very complex to analyze. For me, that was GI map. That's the lab I use the most. And it is not simply a page of numbers. Every marker is connected to another marker, is connected to the symptom. It's like a map, it's like a story you need to read in order to understand the case and in order to write the appropriate protocol. Unfortunately, behind every hour you spend interpreting and analyzing and doing the fun work, the work you were trained to do, there is actually many more hours behind the scenes that the client doesn't see, you don't get paid for. It's all about writing protocols, writing reports, formatting them, making them beautiful, easy to read, easy to understand, perhaps giving research. And that actually takes most of your time. If you think about it, it really takes most of your time. And so eventually you drown in all of this. You feel frustrated, you realize actually how much time you're spending per client, and you are not able to scale. You want to take on more clients, but you don't have the resources, you don't have the time. And that's actually not a problem with functional medicine or the way we work. I thought actually that that's the way functional medicine is. That's how we are supposed to work. And it just takes that many hours. But the truth actually is that if you really break it down, most of your time goes for things that you should not be involved in at all. Things that should be done by someone else. And so the advice that most people get is to hire an assistant. But the assistant cannot write that report. The assistant cannot understand your thinking. And so you leave the writing of the report and the protocol to you, and the assistant goes off and does something else. If you hire one, of course. And unfortunately, this way of working leads to burnout. And I've experienced it myself. I think statistically, the rate of burnout in this industry is super high. And what actually burns you out is not the hard cases, is not the actual clinical work, because we all love the clinical work. This is what we have been trained to do. When I really thought about it, I realized this is my favorite part, the detective work, connecting the dots, figuring out the case. The repetitive work is what actually burns you out, is what slowly kills you behind the scenes. So sitting in my burnout state, having no energy to work with clients, I started asking myself the question, why is this happening? And I really wanted to solve this. I guess my experience from the movie industry, I loved troubleshooting things. I was really good at optimizing workflows and making things better. And so that was a challenge. That was a challenge now as a nutritional therapist to figure out what was happening. It was simple as breaking down the tasks and figuring out what requires my brain and what can be done by somebody else or automated. And I realized that the clinical interpretation of the case requires me. Sequencing the interventions require me. The clinical judgment requires me. But writing the protocol, formatting, explaining what H. pylori is and what it does to the body, all of that, it doesn't require me. I was spending at least 50% of my time doing work that I shouldn't be doing. And so I decided to optimize it. I built a system. I leveraged AI, the power of AI. And I know a lot of you are super skeptical about using AI in clinical practice, but actually, AI is your friend here. In my experience, AI does not replace me. I'm still there, but AI assists me in all these repetitive tasks that AI is actually really good at. And so it's literally having this super smart assistant who can be trained to understand you, to understand your philosophy, your frameworks, the way you work, the way you write protocols, your tone of voice, everything. And I was truly amazed by the results. A few years ago, before I started working with AI, I was very skeptical about it. I thought this is just stupid, it's going to take away the humanness. But in reality is that large language models like Claude, like ChatGPT, are improving every single day. And the truth is, if you're not using them, you're going to fall behind because that's the future of medicine. And I truly see the value and the benefit of using AI in health because you can optimize your work, you can help more people, you can be more successful, you can save time, and those are all fantastic things. But of course, it has to be used responsibly. So what I have built for myself is GI map analyzer that actually analyzes GI map and writes me a report, writes a protocol even, if I ask it to do. And then I check it, of course, to make sure it's correct. But it is written in my tone of voice, it's considering the patient's symptoms and goals, and it connects all the dots. And yes, I do help him do that, and it's a conversation as if I truly have an assistant who has more knowledge than me. And I review everything it writes, obviously, because it's my clinical judgment at the end of the day. I decide things. I make sure the protocol is structured in a way that is best for the client. But I'm not starting from scratch. And I'm not sitting on Sunday evening writing protocols for my Monday morning appointments. And that is a fantastic thing. And in the future video, I'm going to give you a demo of that, of what I've actually wrote and how to set it up, because I believe everyone should be doing this. So the question I want to leave you with is this. How many hours you're spending per client? How many hours you are doing the actual work that you're supposed to be doing? The clinical work, making the calls, connecting the dots, figuring out the case. And how many hours are you spending writing protocols and doing paperwork? And I know you hate the paperwork. So do a little audit, figure out how many hours, and then write the tasks you're supposed to be there, you want to be there for, and write the tasks that annoy you, that you don't want to do, that waste your time, and that can be given to something like AI to do. You have to realize that the number you wrote about how many hours per case you're spending right now is your ceiling. I have tried to pass that ceiling, and you have too, but it's not so simple. And you really need systems. You need to optimize your work in order to free up more time so you can scale or do whatever you like with that time. And so be honest with yourself, take a look at these numbers and come back here, because I'm building this channel to address these things, because I want every practitioner to have the best outcomes, to work less hours, to help more people with the best quality of care, and be successful without burnout at the same time. So subscribe to this channel and come back because there will be more. A lot of interesting videos, including some demos, including practical things, including information that is going to help your practice grow in a sustainable way.